Well, let's not put too fine a point on it. COSATU is in a mess, but it's a mess very much of the COSATU executive's own making. The executive has quite honestly flouted this, the Constitution. I know earlier this year I once said if they did that, they might as well throw it away. And that's true, because this Constitution, like our own National Constitution and Bill of Rights, lays down not just guidelines, but I think legally binding obligations, etc., regulations, which should be followed. Now, one of the clauses in here, clause 3 actually, states that if not less than a third of the affiliates of COSATU call for a special national congress, that's to bring in all the delegates on a democratic basis, it should be called. That takes 6 or 7. In fact, nearly 15 months ago, 9 of the affiliates called for it, but nothing happened. And now this messy business is getting even messier, because we have the executive now, the majority on the executive, calling for the expulsion of COSATU. According to the Constitution, once again, the executive may recommend expulsion and suspension, but it can only be ratified, or overturned for that matter, by a national congress, which has already been called for. So by calling for the expulsion seems to be putting the cart a bit before the horse. The answer obviously is to get ahead and have the Congress have a proper decision-making, democratic decision-making process underway. And that wouldn't just deal with this one little issue that we're dealing with here. It would also deal with another very important matter that has arisen in recent weeks. And that is this rather bitter scrap. I'm sure that you've all heard about it, read about it, seen television, etc., all about the scrap between those billionaire ex-trade unionists, John Copeland and Marcel Golding, and ETV, the free-to-air broadcaster, which involves the South African Clothing and Textile Workers Union and its investment company. Now, it blurs. By having an investment company with trade unions, you see, we have to understand that within our system, we have employers who have one set of interests to maximize profit, employees who have another set of interests, and that is to maximize and improve their wages and conditions, which are a cost on profit. That's just the reality of the system, and it is settled by negotiation. Once you get a blurring of this with the trade unions at an official level becoming part and parcel of capital, labor and capital no longer have that division. At the very least, it becomes confusing and contradictory. And this is something that I think I'll concentrate on in this week's Inside Labour column, which you can read on this platform, Fin24, tomorrow, and in print in the business section of City Press on Sunday. And of course, until then, it's over to you to make your comments, your inputs on this. You may have heard something that I've not heard of. I'd like to hear about it. I'd like to have commendations. I'd like to have criticisms. I'd like to have your views at editor@fin24.com. And that's all for me for this week. Cheers.